Let me ask you something. Close your eyes for just a second and think back. Think back to the one person, you know exactly who I mean, the one you watched from across a hallway, across a classroom, maybe across a whole year of your life, and never said a word to. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't the right time. Maybe you wrote a letter you never sent. Maybe you just waited. And then one day, life moved on, and that chapter closed without you ever turning the page. Now imagine this. 20 years later, you walk into a restaurant for a blind date you didn't even want to go on, and sitting across that table is him. The very same person. Older now, even more handsome, composed, successful. He looks you right in the eyes. And he has absolutely no idea who you are. That is where Cynthia Shaw's story begins. And I promise you, by the time we reach the end, you will not be breathing normally. Welcome. Let's start from the beginning. First, let's meet Cynthia Shaw. She is not the loud one in the room. She is not the one who lights up a party or posts photos that stop your scroll. Cynthia is the girl in the back row with immaculate notes. The one who keeps her head down, works twice as hard as everyone else, and trusts that the results will speak for her. She earned her place at Central University, one of the most competitive schools in the city, purely through discipline and intelligence. That is not nothing. That is everything. But here's what almost nobody knows about quiet, careful, studious Cynthia Shaw. In the second year of high school, she fell completely, helplessly in love with a boy named Liam Foster. Now, Liam Foster was not just any boy. He was the kind of boy that entire grades organized themselves around. Handsome in a way that seems almost unfair. Cool without trying. The heir of one of Central City's most prominent families, sent to their small-town high school and immediately turning the social atmosphere upside down. Every girl in Cloudtown High School knew his name. Most of them whispered it. Cynthia didn't whisper it. She wrote it in a letter she never sent. She never told him. She never even managed a real conversation with him. She watched him from a careful, comfortable distance, and she carried that feeling the way you carry something too fragile to put down, carefully, quietly, and always. Then Liam transferred away to Central City. Just like that, her silent chapter was over. She didn't stop. She made a decision. If he was going to college in Central City, she was going to get there too. Not to chase him, she was too sensible for that, but because the city he came from was the city she wanted to build her future in. She studied. She earned it. She arrived. And then her roommate Lydia dragged her to a blind date at a barbecue restaurant, complaining the whole way about how Cynthia never came out, never had fun, always studied, always worked. Cynthia sat down at the table. The door opened, and in walked Liam Foster. He smiled at the group. He introduced himself. Polite, easy, effortlessly in command of the room. His eyes moved across the table, and paused on Cynthia just long enough to be polite, then moved on. He didn't know her. Not even a flicker. And Cynthia Shaw, who had spent years becoming someone worthy of being known, sat very still and said to herself, "Of course he doesn't. I was no one then. The question is she still no one now?" Liam doesn't recognize her. But something is already beginning to happen, something he can't quite explain yet. And the first crack in his armor is about to appear. Here's something fascinating about Liam Foster. He is not the person the campus gossip says he is. The reputation says, cold, arrogant, untouchable. A heartbreaker who collects admirers like business cards and discards them just as easily. And some of that is true. He is guarded, he is direct to the point of bluntness, and he has very little patience for people who want something from him. But watch him with Cynthia. Watch what he does when she accidentally spills a drink on herself. He doesn't look away. He notices. He quietly makes sure she is what she needs to clean up. No announcement, no fanfare, he just acts. And when she runs into him later, embarrassed, he does something remarkable. He admits he recognized her. Not at the blind date, no, he played that close to the chest. But he pulls her aside and says it plainly, "We were in the same class. Cloudtown High School. Grade 2, Class 3. He remembers. Cynthia almost falls over. She has been running a quiet little narrative in her head that she was invisible to him, always was, always would be. And now here he is, standing in front of her, telling her he knew exactly who she was. So why the blank stare at the restaurant? Why pretend? Liam doesn't fully answer that. And that silence is more interesting than any explanation. What follows is a series of small, accumulating moments that neither of them names out loud. There's a sudden downpour. Liam happens to be walking the same way. He gives her his coat without being asked and sprints through the rain alongside her, arriving at her destination drenched and running a fever by the next morning. When she finds out, Cynthia doesn't hesitate. She goes to the pharmacy. She shows up at the hotel he's staying in, a penthouse suite, naturally, and she takes care of him. Brings medicine. Checks his fever. Stays. There's a moment in that hotel room that tells you everything. Liam, who is never vulnerable, who carries every problem alone, who has learned to trust almost no one, he looks at this girl who brought him cough medicine and asks, quietly, "Can I hug you?" He doesn't ask that of people. Not ever. Cynthia, trembling a little on the inside, says yes. And for the first time in perhaps a very long time, Liam Foster lets himself feel something without immediately shutting it down. On the subway home that evening, Cynthia is trying to think of something comforting to say about whatever pain he's clearly carrying. She picks up her phone to text him, then loses her nerve and puts it back. That night, her phone buzzes. It's a photo of her. Running badly in the rain, soaked, arms flailing, the most ungraceful version of herself. Under it, one line, "Run slower next time. Don't tumble down." And she laughs. She laughs more than she has in months. He's texting her. He's thinking about her. He secretly bought her a dress she admired in a shop window, but she doesn't know that yet. Now this is where things get dangerously real. Liam takes Cynthia shopping. It happens because her clothes were ruined, coffee spilled, collateral damage from another of their collisions, and he decides the solution is to replace them entirely. She resists. Of course she resists. Cynthia is not the kind of woman who lets a man she barely knows spend money on her. She handles her own things. That is who she is. But Liam is not really asking. He has a quiet way of moving things forward without argument, not forceful, just inevitable. And as they walk through the store, a light blue dress catches Cynthia's eye. She picks it up, holds it to herself for half a second, puts it back. Too much. Not practical. Not her. She leaves with a simple, sensible change of clothes that she insists on paying for herself. That evening, a package arrives at her dormitory. Inside, the light blue dress. The tag has been cut off. The receipt is gone. There's a single note, "You look beautiful in it. Don't say you'll repay me." She stands there holding it, this dress that she put back on a rack because she told herself she didn't deserve it, and she realizes that Liam was watching her more carefully than she ever imagined. There's an amusement park next. Their whole friend group goes. And on that day, something shifts visibly between them. Liam tells her she's the princess they're going to protect. He's teasing, he teases a lot, that's how he shows affection, but Cynthia notices it's not the kind of teasing that goes everywhere. It's pointed. It's for her. The roller coaster. Cynthia is afraid of heights. She gets on anyway, peer pressure, the momentum of the day, and when the ride begins its first brutal drop, she grabs Liam's hand and holds it with everything she has. He lets her. He more than lets her. He covers her hand with both of his and doesn't pull away. Not during the screaming climbs, not during the stomach-dropping falls, not until the ride is completely over and she realizes, mortified, that she has been holding his hand for the entire duration and she cannot remember when she stopped being afraid of the ride and started being afraid of something else entirely. Later, at the gift shop, he reaches into a claw machine, first try, and pulls out the specific little keychain she had been looking at. He hands it to her. Then he reaches in again, on his own, and gets the matching one. When she asks him why, he says, they were meant to be together. How could I be so heartless? She doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. She laughs. Campus gossip explodes. People are saying Liam has a girlfriend. Cynthia starts to pull back, quietly gutted by the idea. She starts avoiding him. And when Liam notices, when he finally corners her and demands to know why, her answer is going to shatter him a little. And danger is coming from a direction nobody expected. There is a man in this story who is not a love rival. He is not complicated, he is not redeemable, and he exists purely to teach us something important about Liam, and about what Cynthia is worth. His name is Michael Lynn. He's a senior at the university, the son of a powerful family, and he has decided that Cynthia owes him something. He harassed her before she transferred campuses. He followed her. He is the kind of man who mistakes access for permission and is furious when he doesn't get either. The first time Liam encounters him, he doesn't say much. He doesn't need to. He positions himself between Michael and Cynthia, looks at the man with the specific calmness of someone who has never feared a thing in his life, and Michael takes one look at the foster name and backs down immediately. But Michael doesn't go away. Men like Michael never do. He schemes. He gets someone to call Cynthia and tell her that Lydia, her roommate, her closest friend, is drunk and stranded at a KTV bar and needs her urgently. It's a lie. It's a trap. And Cynthia, who loves her people unconditionally, goes. She walks into the wrong kind of silence. She starts to run. She calls Liam. Now, here's where the story does something important. Cynthia, who never asks for help, who solves everything alone, who treats her own needs as inconveniences to be quietly managed, she calls him. That, all by itself, is an act of trust so rare for her that it nearly changes everything. Liam arrives. He deals with what needs to be dealt with, comprehensively and without hesitation. When it's over, and Cynthia sees that he has been hurt, just a small wound, nothing serious, but still, she goes pale. She starts to apologize. He stops her. He says, "I was willing to save you from me. You are worth my concern. I'm willing to do this. Understand? You are worth my concern." For a woman who has spent her entire life being careful not to be too much trouble to anyone, those 5 words are a different kind of earthquake. She tends to his wound with shaking hands. He watches her face while she does it. And when she finishes, he doesn't move away. He just stays there, close, steady, looking at her in a way that has nothing to do with being polite and everything to do with what he is starting to feel. Michael Lynn, for his part, will not bother her again. Some things happen after that night that nobody officially confirms, and the official story is simply that he fell down some stairs. 3 broken ribs. Case closed. It's nearly 3 months since they met. The campus is buzzing. A bold, beautiful girl named Tiffany has very publicly tried to claim Liam. And then one night at a bar, during a game of truth or dare, Liam is told to kiss the person next to him. He doesn't. Instead, he puts down his glass, stands up, and says he's going to find his girlfriend. This is where it all comes to a head. Tiffany is not a villain. She is simply a young woman who fell for the same person 1,000 other young women fell for, and she decided to do something about it. She transferred to the university partly for him. She confessed publicly at his birthday. She is bold, she is beautiful, and she is direct, everything that Cynthia, by her own account, is not. Campus gossip moves fast. By the time a photo of Liam and Tiffany at a bar makes the rounds, the story has already been written. Liam Foster finally has a girlfriend, and it's the bold girl who came after him. Cynthia believes it. Why wouldn't she? It makes sense. She's the one who stayed quiet. She starts to pull away. Just slightly, avoiding him in class, walking different routes, being unavailable in ways she wasn't before. Liam notices immediately. And he is not going to let it go without an explanation. He corners her. Quietly, without drama, just the 2 of them. He asks what he did wrong. And Cynthia, pushed past her usual caution, tells him, "You have a girlfriend. So I was giving you space." He stares at her. He says, "I don't have a girlfriend." Tiffany confessed. "I didn't accept." She believed a rumor. She avoided him for weeks based on something that wasn't even true. And when she realizes that, when it lands fully, she apologizes so sincerely that he ends up the one comforting her. This is Liam. He'll tease you to your face and quietly protect you behind your back. He'll be furious that you pulled away and spend the next breath making sure you know it wasn't your fault. The resolution of that misunderstanding brings them closer than the misunderstanding separated them. Which brings us to the bar. The dare. The terrace. The game says, kiss the person nearest to you. Liam stands up, sets down his glass, and says he's going to find his girlfriend to kiss. He walks through the crowd. Tiffany watches him go, confused, hurt, and finds Cynthia on the rooftop terrace, getting some fresh air. He wraps his arms around her from behind. He tells her about the dare and why he walked away. And then, when the moment has settled, he says it. Cynthia Shaw. Do you want to date me? She doesn't answer right away. She asks, is there a time limit? He says, 3 months. Is that okay? She says yes. He sets the time limit because somewhere inside him, there is a boy who learned early that good things get taken away. The limit is self-protection. If it ends in 3 months, it was always going to. What he doesn't say, what neither of them says yet, is that 3 months was never going to be enough. They are officially together now, secret from the world, but real between them. She is going to knit him a scarf. He is going to take her to Bangkok. And their first kiss is coming. This is the happiest part in this story. Hold on to it. Love, when it's new and real and still slightly unbelievable, has a texture to it. It feels like wool between your fingers. It feels like trying to make something with your hands because words aren't enough. Cynthia knits Liam a scarf. Black, because that's his favorite color. She asks him what color he likes in a text she makes sound casual, then stays up late in her dormitory working on it, determined that when he opens it, he'll feel that something that went into every stitch. She gives it to him in a hospital. Of all places, Liam is there because of his family, and we'll come to that story soon, and she doesn't dress it up. She just hands it to him and says, I asked what color you liked last time. I've always wanted to give it to you. I knitted it myself. It's not very fine, but it's very warm. He looks at the scarf. He looks at her. And the silence that follows is not the silence of someone who is underwhelmed. It is the silence of someone who is not sure they deserve what they've just been given. Then, softly, unexpectedly, he asks, Can I kiss you next time? She panics beautifully and says she has somewhere to be. The next time comes at Liam's birthday. He doesn't want a party. He made that clear. What he does want, what he asked for, specifically, in the way he asks for everything, which is by not quite asking at all, is to be with Cynthia. He flies her to Bangkok for a private concert at a bar. Just the two of them, somewhere no one knows their names. The concert puts them on screen. A dare goes around the room. Kiss the person beside you. The camera lands on Liam. The crowd roars. He looks at the camera, looks at the girl beside him, her face turned away, protecting her privacy just the way he told her he would, and he kisses her anyway. Just the side of her face. Just enough for everyone to see, he chose her. Afterward, outside under the city lights, he looks at her and remembers. You said I could. Next time. This is Cynthia's first kiss. She tells him so. He says, it's mine too. She doesn't quite believe him. He means it. Back home, Cynthia finds herself on the school forum. The entire campus is trying to figure out who the mystery girl with Liam Foster is. He posts one line in response. She's shy and doesn't like it. Don't go overboard. She reads it. She smiles so hard her face hurts. One morning he shows up at her dormitory on a motorcycle, holding a white cat helmet that he had clearly bought specifically for her. He helps her put it on. The whole campus watches. The forum erupts. She is no longer invisible. Everything seems perfect. But the reason Cynthia saw Liam in that hospital, the reason he looked so tired, so quietly desperate, that story hasn't been told yet. Next, we go inside the Foster family, and what we find there explains everything about why Liam has never let anyone close. Until now. To understand Liam Foster, you have to understand what he came from. His mother died when he was young. After that, his father, a man more invested in appearances and dynasty than in his son, shipped Liam off to a small town called Cloud Town, where no one from the Foster world would see him. A castaway in a nice suit. He lived that way for years, at a distance from his own last name. When he came back to Central City, he was different. Quieter where he should have been warm. Guarded in ways most young men his age are still soft. He built walls with irony and bluntness and a carefully curated reputation for being unfeeling, because being unfeeling means no one can hurt you. Now his grandfather, the one family member who genuinely loved him, who saw him, who built his future with intention, is in the hospital. And circling that hospital bed is his stepmother, calculating, patient, waiting for the old man to pass so she can redirect what's rightfully Liam's toward her own children. His grandfather dies while Cynthia is home for Chinese New Year. She sees the news announcement. She thinks about texting him for an hour. She finally does, a gentle, careful message. He doesn't respond for a long time. Then her doorbell rings. Liam drove 4 hours. In the middle of the night. He shows up at her family home looking like someone who has been awake for 3 days, which, it turns out, he has. He doesn't say very much. He doesn't need to. Cynthia walks him in quietly so her family doesn't wake up. She makes him something to eat. She sits with him in the kitchen in the small hours of the morning, and she just stays. She doesn't try to fix it. She doesn't offer empty comfort. She is simply there, completely present, which is what he needed and couldn't find anywhere else. Her family loves him instantly. Her cousin Sonny, perceptive in the way only younger family members can be, watches Liam's face when Cynthia isn't looking and says, quietly, to her, "He's gone. He's completely gone on you." Liam is, in his own way, completely gone. He has stopped thinking about the time limit. He has stopped thinking about what comes next. He is just here, with her family, in a small warm kitchen far from the city, and for the first time in a very long while, he is not alone. On New Year's Eve, fireworks light up the sky above her neighborhood. He watches them beside her. She leans into him slightly. He doesn't move away. Later, when he drives away in the gray morning, she watches the taillights until she can't see them anymore. The 3-month deadline comes and goes. He doesn't bring it up. She counts the days, terrified, and then finally asks him, and his answer is going to make you want to start the whole story over. But first, they're going home. Back to Cloud Town. Back to the school where this all started. And what Liam finds in an old drawer is going to change everything. They go back to Cloud Town, Cynthia, Liam, and Lydia, who finally puts the whole story together on the drive and cannot stop marveling at it. 2 people. Same high school. One of them secretly in love with the other for years. And somehow they ended up at the same university, at the same blind date, sitting across the same table. Lydia says what the audience has been thinking. If you'd learned to dress up earlier, Liam would have fallen for you at first sight and never let go. Liam's answer, quiet and immediate, I couldn't get in the way of her studying. He knew. He noticed her, in high school, more than she ever imagined. He chose not to disrupt her path. That is not indifference. That is respect so deep it looks, from the outside, like nothing at all. They visit the high school. The security guard at the gate recognizes Liam and waves them through. They walk the corridors, the same halls, older now, smelling of chalk and old wood and memory. Cynthia finds their old classroom. The security guard catches Liam before they leave. He says, there were some unclaimed letters years ago. He kept them in a drawer. One of them was addressed to you, he thinks. Returned, never delivered. From a girl. Cynthia goes very still. Because she knows exactly what letter that is. She wrote it. She knew his family's address in Central City, or thought she did, and she sent it after he transferred away. A letter that began, Hello, I'm Cynthia from grade 2, class 3. You don't remember me. But I've been quietly paying attention to you. She stands there while the security guard searches, and she makes a split-second decision. She finds the letter first. She slips it into her pocket. She cannot let him read it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Liam, sharp as always, notices. He watches her face. He asks, later, if she found something. She says no. He lets it go, or appears to. But later, alone, Lydia asks her directly. Cynthia breaks. She tells her everything. The letter. The crush. All of it. She says, I've liked him for a very long time. I just didn't know it would ever amount to anything. Lydia, who has watched Liam watch Cynthia all day long, the way he turned around before she even called his name, the way his whole body oriented toward her in any room, says something quietly important. He cares about you. Anyone who makes that many changes, for someone they claim is just a friend, there's only one reason. Liam knows about the letter. He found it. He didn't say a word about it until he had time to sit with what it meant, and what he wanted to do about it. Now, everything this story has been building toward finally arrives. Liam found the letter. He didn't say anything about it, not to Cynthia, not to anyone. He took it home. He sat down with it. And he read. Hello. I'm Cynthia from grade 2, class 3 of Cloudtown High School. You don't remember me. Because in the second year, I don't think I ever had a chance to talk to you. But actually, I've been quietly paying attention to you. I really admire you. I heard you went back to Central City. I also want to go to college there. Can I ask you some questions? My phone number is... If it's okay, I hope we can keep in touch. September 15th, Cynthia. He sat with that letter for a long time. A girl in the second year of high school had noticed him, really noticed him, not the name or the family or the reputation, but him, and was brave enough to write it down. She sent a letter to an address she wasn't even sure was correct. She built a plan around him without ever making him responsible for it. She earned her way to his city. She sat across a table from him and kept her secret perfectly. She was kind to him when he was sick. She showed up in a rainstorm. She stayed through family grief. She knitted him a scarf. She never once asked him to be anything other than what he was. Liam Foster, who had learned that love was conditional and temporary and usually had an agenda, sat in a quiet room and understood that none of that was true. Not anymore. He picked up a piece of paper. He wrote. The next morning, there is a knock at Cynthia's door. A delivery. An envelope with her name on it. Inside, a letter, handwritten, his handwriting, and it begins. Hello. Although I have no idea where you got my address from, it is my honor to be admired by you. I'm looking forward to your visit and willing to answer your questions. As for your wish to keep in touch with me, my answer is yes. And I want the rest of my life to keep in touch with you. Please reply immediately. She reads it once. Then again. Then she picks up her phone and calls him. He answers before the first ring has finished. He is already outside. She goes downstairs. He is standing there in the light, just him, no fanfare, no audience, no performance, and he takes her hands. He asks, Cynthia, do you want to marry me? She looks at this man who drove through the night to be near her when she was grieving. Who bought her a dress she touched once for 3 seconds. Who took a photo of her running in the rain and made it his wallpaper. Who fought for her without being asked and held her hand on a roller coaster and wrote a scarf pattern in reverse because he wanted to match hers. Who remembered her name when she thought she was nobody. Who recognized her long before she recognized herself. She says, I do. The girl who spent years being invisible is finally, completely, unreservedly seen. And the boy who spent years being alone has, at last, come home. You know what this story really is? It's not a fairy tale, or at least, not the kind where someone saves you from a tower. It's the other kind. The quiet kind. The kind where two people who both needed to be known found each other in the most ordinary of places, a restaurant table, a rainstorm, a classroom, and built something that outlasted every misunderstanding, every fear, and every distance between them. If you've ever loved someone quietly, from a respectful and terrified distance, this story is for you. If you've ever written a letter you didn't send, if you've ever been invisible to the very person you most wanted to be seen by, if you've ever wondered whether the timing might just, finally, be right, Cynthia Shaw wants you to know, sometimes it is. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of someone, if it made you want to call someone you haven't called in too long, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And until next time, keep the letter. You never know when it's the right time to send it.